Hi, this is Joe again with another review. For the sake of this video, I'm going to be discussing the late 90s, early 2000s show, Charmed. So I originally starred Shannen Doherty, Alyssa Milano, Holly Marie Combs, and later on you had Rose McGowan on there. And of course, we're going to get into that in a minute. Of course, this show was... I'm talking about the original Charmed. I am not talking about the current version, where there's a remake and a reboot, because I refuse to watch the reboot show, because the original show was 10,000 times better than the current remake, which is a piece of garbage show. Simply because they changed the ethnicity of the main characters, because the original Charmed show was like too white for people. So they decided to recast it with black and Hispanic actors, and which of course ticks me off. It ticks off the other fans of the original show as well. So that's why I refused to watch it, because it didn't bring back the original cast, the original actors who were in the original show. Now the original show itself started in 1998. And ended in 2006, so that's eight seasons on the what was then the WB network, and I think for the last season it was transformed into the CW network. And the original three sisters, and the original three actors were Shannen Doherty, fresh off Beverly Hills 90210, Alyssa Milano, who was fresh off Who's the Boss, and Holly Marie Combs. And as three sisters who for years didn't know that they were actually witches or supernatural, superpowered witches. And after the grandmother had died, the mother was already dead already, and now the grandmother had just passed away. So now the three sisters are reunited in their house that the grandmother lived in, and they grew up in that house as well when they were little girls. And the youngest one, who was played by Alyssa Milano, who played Phoebe, found this book called the Book of Shadows, which is a magic book with all the spells and all the different types of demons and stuff that was in this book. And Alyssa Milano ends up reading, or her character Phoebe ends up reading a incantation in the book, and it restored the powers that the three sisters had, or were supposed to have had. And they were called the Charmed Ones because of the power of three, and the whole holy trinity of three sisters having their powers, or three witches having their powers. The strongest witches in the world happen to be the Charmed Ones, and that's what they are. And so every week they battle a particular demon, or a warlock, or an evil witch, almost every single week on the show. And it was very popular, very good. It also has a lot of comedy in there, but how they would, especially during the first season, how they're dealing with their particular powers and how they were adjusting to it. And then, of course, when they get older, more and more powerful, and their powers, respective powers, are getting more stronger and stronger as they get older and more experienced as witches, and their powers evolve. And of course, they also had Brian Krause, who played Leo, who is known as the White Lighter, who protects or tries to protect the witches and guide them as they fight the warlock of the week or the demon of the week, and trying to save the innocent of the week. And that's how the show went on. And of course, the problem with Charmed, at least during its original one, was after about 3 seasons, Shannen Doherty was pretty much fired or quit from Charmed because she didn't get along, or Shannen didn't get along with Alyssa Milano's character. And of course, at that time, Alyssa Milano was, as well as Shannen Doherty, were already well-known actors. Shannen, from the TV show Our House back in the 80s, to, of course, 90210, of course, was her most famous role up at that point. And Alyssa Milano, of course, from the TV show Our House back in the 80s to, of course, 90210, of course, was her most famous role up at that point. And Alyssa Milano, of course, from the TV show Our House back in the 80s to, of course, 90210, of course, was her most famous role up at that point. Alyssa Milano was, of course, known for Who's the Boss. And the two of them had, big egos. And the two of them just, for some reason, that they couldn't, their personalities didn't click. They didn't gel. And they were constantly at each other's throats all the time. And Holly Marie Combs, who of course played Piper, the Miller sister, she got in the middle of the arguments, and she couldn't put up with the two of them anymore. So it was either Shannon had to go, or Alyssa had to go. And at that time, Alyssa Milano, because of Charmed, more than Who's the Boss, became an international sex symbol because of Charmed. Because he showed off more and more of her body. She was in skimpier and skimpier outfits on the show. Showed off her body. It's not a bad thing. But she showed off more and more of her body and became more and more of a sex symbol because of Charmed. And Shannon, who got top billing, on the show, the two of them just to get along. And so the producer says, okay, let's write Shannon out. And what they did was they literally killed off the character. And so what happened was they literally wrote her out of the show. Unfortunately, during the final season of Charmed, they never brought Shannon back. Even for the final episode, they never brought her back, which was a real shame. That for the final episode of the show, they never brought Shannon back, even for the final episode, as a ghost. Because they did so with the grandmother. Occasionally came on the show as a ghost, and even the mother was played by Fiona Hughes, from General Hospital fame, as ghosts. Or the spirits to guide the witches. They could have done that for Shannon as well, brought her back that way. They never did it because of the hatred that went on between Shannon and Alyssa. They never did that, which was a shame. So they brought in to keep the show going because the WB network and renewed the show for a season. They said, wait a minute, how can we renew the fourth season if one of the main characters gets killed off? We're going to kill off Shannon Doherty's character. We're going to kill off Prue. We're going to kill her off. So what they did was they had a search for an actress to play a new sister, or a half sister. And so they brought in the actress Rose McGowan to play the part of Paige, which is a new sister. And they brought her in there, as beautiful as Rose McGowan is, and she was hot. I mean, she was. I mean, I won't mind looking at her all the time on the show, which I did. But the problem is that she was so perky. And I'm not criticizing her acting, Rose McGowan's acting ability. It's just that she has a completely, totally different personality than what Shannon Doherty has. It's like a complete antithesis of Shannon Doherty, and she was so perky that she was so sugary sweet the way she played the part on the show that you go into a diabetic shock, a diabetic coma. That's how sweet she played the character of Paige, and I say she wasn't bad. It's just that she was so sweet, it was unbelievable, and she stayed on the show for the last 5 years, from season 4 through season 8. She was on the show. She did a good job, and that's pretty much what's it. Of course, throughout the show, you also had various love interests for Phoebe, or Les Milano's character, including Julian McMahon, who played Cole. Was later on, as the show was still on the air, he left the show to play Doctor Doom in the terrible Fantastic Four movie. And so he left the show, but he came back once, like later on, like the seventh season. He came back on the show for the seventh season, do one episode. But I thought he was a good character. He was like a gray area character. He started in season 3, and he was there pretty much to about season 7, which he did a damn good job of playing that part. as Cole. Of course, but the problem was that the show lasted one season too long, in my opinion. And they could have ended it at season 7, but I think by the time the season 7 ended, the WB network became the CW. I'm not sure if it was that particular year or like a year later that the WB network became the CW, and they brought in and they renewed, and they weren't sure if Tron was going to be renewed. So that's why the season 7 finale ended the way it did, with the Tron ones, the sisters, defeating this particular demon to the point where they had to pretend that they died and disguise themselves as 3 other women, and which what happened at the end of season 7. They're going to have new lives, and have a normal life, because they got getting tired of saving people and keeping magic as a secret, of their identities a secret, as being witches for 7 years. They're getting tired of being the demon of the week and all that stuff, and so they got tired of it. So when they defeated the villain of that, or the main villain of that season 7, they disguised themselves as different lives, and the police inspector was played by Dorian Gregory. He liked the fact that they are still alive. He kept their secret, and unfortunately, Morris, or Inspector Morris, didn't return in season 8. It was the only original character from the very beginning didn't return in the 8th season. The only one. Other than Shannon Doherty, of course, was the only one who didn't return in season 8 for some reason. So when they had season 8, they recruited Kelly Kuko as before the Big Bang Theory. Kelly Kuko was in season 8, and she went out to fight demons while the Tron one stayed in disguise. Now, eventually, within about 5 episodes into season 8, they came back to life. Or came back from the dead, so to speak, and they said, "Oh, we were in disguise because we were doing stuff with Homeland Security, blah blah blah," and everybody knew who the hell they were at that time. And then they came back from the dead. They were actually heroes and all that stuff. And then, of course, what happened was that Kelly Kuko's character, she was looking for her missing sister, was abducted by a demon. She was abducted by the Triad, which is the 3 main evil, the 3 big shots in the underworld at that point. And they were training. They were training Kelly Kuko's sister on the show to attack the Tron ones. They're training her for like 15 years to attack the Tron ones, and it ended in a 2-hour season finale. And of course, they had a big fight between these 2 sisters. Those are the Tron ones, and of course, what happens? The Tron ones did win at the end. Kelly Kuko now became a friend of the Tron ones after that. The sister that was trained for 15 years by demons, she was killed off, and now they're going to live in pretty much peace for the rest of their lives. And they do occasionally fight demons, but not to the extent that they did for 8 years, or over the course of 8 years on this show. And I'm going a little bit long on this show. It's almost 14, and hit the 14-minute mark now. But as good of a finale, a series finale it was. I like the series finale, that I liked, but most of, except for the last 3 or 4 episodes of season 8, most of season 8 was like a complete waste, because it all led up to the series finale. And I thought if they had a series finale, if it ended in season 7, I would have been satisfied, and then maybe have years later have the reboot with the sisters coming back and the original cast coming back. I wouldn't have a problem with it if the CW did it that way, but they didn't do it that way. They ended the original Tron series the way they did, and they brought back 3 years ago. They brought back in 2017, they brought back Charmed. And people, oh wow, great, they're bringing back Charmed. And people were getting really excited. At least I was, because I was a fan of the original series. But the problem was, they completely changed the format. They weren't really sisters, unlike in the original series. They were just, I mean, I think they were related, like cousins or something. They weren't sisters, they were cousins. And not only that, but they changed the racial makeup of the show. They were all either black or Hispanic characters. I mean, I don't want to make it a racial thing. I'm sorry about the racial aspects, but that's what they did, because the original show was, except for Dorian Gregory's character, the series was all white actors. So they decided to say, oh, if we bring him back, people are going to be complaining there was all white actors. We have to have it all black, or at least one black person in there, or whatever. And so they had all black actors in there, and which was a complete waste. And I think it was completely stupid to do what they did, to bring back the show the way they brought it back. And it was like the first episode. You see how it was? Haven't watched a single episode since, and because I was just not interested, if it is not Alyssa Milano or Henry Coles, Rose McGowan, Shannon Doherty, it was not those actors, or Brian Krause, if they are not on the reboot show or the remake show, then I'm not going to watch it. And I'm surprised that the Charmed remake is now lasted at least 3 seasons. I'm surprised that this thing went on as long as it did, and I'm very disappointed that the fans of the original show, I don't know how many fans of the original show are watching the remake, but if you are, you're nuts to watch the show, because it's not the original actors in this show. They have been, as far as I know, they haven't brought any of them back. If they did so, it would have been huge ratings if they ever brought them back for an episode or two. But they never did, and I think it's horrible. But the original Charmed, if you want to see a real Charmed show, watch the original. Don't watch the remake. Stick to the original show. It's 1,000 times better than the show they have on now on Sunday nights, and it's the best one. The best version is Charmed. It's one of the last really great shows that the WB/CW network made. And so before they switched this to CW, it was one of the last good WB shows they had on. So let me review the original series, Charmed. Please click on the video, please rate it, please subscribe to my channel, please forward this video on your Facebook pages. You can check out all my reviews and on my YouTube channel, RallyC.com, it's over WDY, and C.com is the homepage, and Rally Reviewer, Chris Lee Moore, and please check out all of his videos on his website. Thanks for watching, catch you next time.